Like most people of my age, as a child I treasured my Chad Valley teddy bear. Whilst not a Steiff, for many British children, Chad Valley, along with Merrythought, was as good as it got. And for a child from Shropshire, it had the added benefit of having been birthed in Wellington. In 1916, when a Birmingham business, Johnson Brothers, acquired the former Wesleyan Methodist Chapel at the top of New Street in Wellington, the company was already a popular toy producer and acquired the premises in order to expand its range to include fabric dolls and teddy bears. By the late 1920s, the Chad Valley Wrekin Toy Works was born, which specialised in teddy bears and dolls. Wrekin's engineers were innovative and mastered new, cheaper and more flexible ways of making dolls. Instead of filling them with composite or shredded cardboard, they used felt. And instead of sewing around pre-made, fragile china faces, they began to shape these in celluloid and early plastic. The acquisition also yielded a library of good-selling designs, as well as highly priced sales department with a near full order book. I understand they also had manufacturing facilities in Alton Lane and Tan Bank. Chad Valley was founded after the Napoleonic Wars in 1823 by Anthony Bum Johnson. He started as proprietor of a small printing and bookbinding company in Lichfield Street in Handsworth, Birmingham. In the 1960s, Joseph and Alfred Johnson set up a stationery business on George Street in Birmingham. In 1987, they moved to the new factory in Harborne near the Chad Brook. The Chad Valley trademark first registered in 1897 when the original company of Johnson's Brothers added games to its stationery range. An initial idea to transform publishers' leftovers into playthings. Beginning with cardboard games and simple toys, including such favourites as Ludo, Helter Skelter, and other pseudo-sporting goods titles such as Rinky Dinky Safety Archery Set. Various toys were gradually added to the repertoire, including the introduction of teddy bears and soft toys in 1915-16. In 1915, the company included its first toy pattern, a range of teddy bears. Grunter Bear was very interesting, as it was the first time made at Chad Valley, and very obviously a close copy of early German designs. Indeed, this was largely in response to the banning of toy imports during the war. These bears were made in the Harborne factory. He had painted back roughly shaped glass eyes and was originally a bright yellow long pile mohair. The nose was defined in felt and stitched over to give a raised effect. His hump was exaggerated. He had very long, slightly tapering arms, large feet and 4 embroidered claws on all paws. The Chad Gunter's mechanical voice, produced in 1915 patent, carried a green label. A large form of the growler made it necessary to give the bear a rather pot-bellied shape, like a poo-like stomach. The bear was completely stuffed with wood wool. In 1919, they acquired the Harborne Village Institute, which became the printing press for their cardboard toys and packaging. Despite acquiring the Wrekin Works in 1916, the Harborne factory was extended, and in 1928 a new factory was built adjoining the existing one. Raw materials were delivered to Harborne by train, and most of the factory's output leaving by the same route. Such were the volumes handled that the branch line and goods yards were retained in the 1950s, when passenger trains were withdrawn. In the early years of the 20th century, dolls were made representing famous fictional and non-fictional personalities of the day. Chad Valley made dolls based on Mabel Lucy Atwell's characters. As expected, the dolls and jigsaw puzzles quickly proved to be winners. Not only did they sell in vast quantities in the home market, but they also made other countries across the empire, particularly in Canada and South Africa. In the 1920s, with the company's combined resources, Chad Valley purchased one company after another, Isa Works, Worry Willows and H.S. Hooper. They created the famous Bull Terrier Bonzo, originally drawn by G. Studi, for the Daily Sketch newspaper. Bonzo was made in several different designs and sizes. He often had airbrushed features. His body was made of velvet stuffed with kapok, a leather collar and a red felt tongue. As a part of their Bonzo promotion at the British Institute's Industries Fair 1920, Chad entertained King George V and Queen Mary with a dwarf dressed in a Bonzo suit. Perhaps the most remarkable range from the 20s and 30s was their assortment of gambling-related products. These included roulette, gaming machines and betting on horse racing. Chad Valley's Escalado product was so popular that Waddington's later paid a small fortune to acquire it from them. Meanwhile, the roulette wheel was so well balanced, thanks to the innovative use of Bakelite in the construction, that many were used by adults rather than children. Again, I do recall there being one in our home as a child. I'm sure it was mine, but not sure that I was the main user. Planchets were produced by Chad Valley, likely date from the 20s and 30s heydays. However, the company did not mark all models with their brand name. Given the company's roots in the printing business, it should come as little surprise that they produced some of the most beautiful planchet boxes ever witnessed. By 1929, Chad Valley manufactured teddy bears in 13 sizes, the largest being 29.5 inches to the smallest 8.5 inches, made of gold or tangerine plush in short or long pile. Bears over 17 inches had patent Chad Valley grunters. The 14 to 20 inch bears were produced, although quite rare, brightly coloured artificial silk bears, including pink, blue and green. In the 1930s, Chad Valley only made 6 wine-coloured teddy bears. In 1931, Peacock & Co. of London were acquired, adding wooden toys to its range. The company was awarded a royal warrant in 1938. During World War II, much of the production was diverted to the war effort, including gun cases, hospital tables, electrical coils and charts. However, jigsaw and board production continued for the forces, and especially military hospitals. It later signed deals with each of the steam railway companies and shipping lines to supply tinplate scale models of their flagship engines and liners. The finished products proved top sellers at the major ports and the main London railway termini. All were distinguished by their exceptional level of detail, with a number of fully working scale models. Their toy trains, for example, produced real steam and were supplied with good quality O-gauge track. Their robust construction has ensured the survival of many of the originals to this day, with the clockwork engines intact. I do recall having one of their clockwork trains sets, but it not producing steam. Whilst my Chad Valley toys may have been bought in Pickering's on Mardle, I think most were from Lewis's in Liverpool. After the war, tin plate toys were produced for the first time, although manufacture was outsourced to Metalbox, a company with the skills and machinery needed to produce printed toys. This new tinplate range was such a success that in 1946 the company moved production in-house. Then A.S. Cartwright Limited, a manufacturer of hollowware, was acquired in 1951. Hall and Lane manufacturers of domestic hardware and metal toys. In 1954, Robert Brothers Gloucester, manufacturers of Gevlum toys, and in 1958, Acme Stopper and Box Company. The company began production of character bears from TV and radio. A replica of Harry Corbett's popular TV character Sooty came out in 1954, together with his friend Sweep, and children readily identified them. Chad Valley were given sole rights to manufacture Sooty in 1952 and continued producing him until 1980. He was made as a gov puppet and also a fully jointed bear. Not only did I have one, I went to see Sooty and Sweep at the opening of Sidoli's Cafe in Shrewsbury. Another favourite was Toffee, who wore a red knitted hat and scarf, a character who featured in James Allen's A Lolpit and Toffee Stories, read on the BBC radio programme. And I've written Watch with Mother, but of course it was the radio programme, so it was Listen with Mother, and I do remember both. Also, washable bears made from synthetic fabrics and filled with plastic foam became more popular in the 1960s and 70s. Thus, by 1960, the company employed over 1,000 across 7 factories. In 1967, H.G. Stone, makers of Chiltern toys, was added, becoming the largest soft toy manufacturer in Great Britain. But foreign competition was beginning to hit Chad Valley, and it was taken over by Palitoy, a subsidiary of the American firm General Mills UK Limited, in 1978, and the manufacture of soft toys was relocated to Pontypool. In 1988, the Chad Valley trademark was bought by Woolworths. In 2009, the trade name Chad Valley was acquired by Home Retail Group for approximately 5 million. In 2016, the trade name of Chad Valley became part of Sainsbury's, following the purchase of the Home Retail Group. All the soft toys produced at both Harborne and the Wrekin works carried a sew-in label, with most reading Hygienic Toys, Made in England Chad Valley Co. or Chad Valley Co. Limited, and some abbreviation to simply Hygienic Toys England. What set Chad Valley items apart was their exceptional detail. Her dresses were in authentic materials, finished with lace and neatly pleated. Faces were designed with great care and hand-finished to quality to rival Royal Dalton's porcelain lovely ladies. Boy dolls proved very popular with young ladies of the era, who loved their tweed sports jacket, trims, felt colours, gun bags and coarse neckties. These were the types of clothes favoured by country squires and aristocrats who bought the dolls. Walt Disney inquired whether Chad Valley might be prepared to repeat the success by making up market dolls to accompany his latest film. No less than 8 dolls were required, 7 male and 1 female, with the release signed, making thousands of sets of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. Merrythought was founded in 1930 by Gordon Holmes and George H. Laxton. The company hired A.C. Janis, who'd been in charge of sales at J.K. Farnell, as well as 2 former employees of Chad Valley, Clifton James Rainbow and Florence May Atwood, with Atwood producing the company's first catalogue, an imaginative range of 32 toys, including the first Merrythought teddy bear. Perhaps Merrythought's most famous bear was Mr. Woppet, the mascot of the land and water speed record breaker Donald Campbell. The company first produced teddy bears based on the Woppet character, a teddy bear himself, from the Robin comic in 1956. The company had first rented rooms at the Station Hotel in Wellington before moving to a building in Coalbrookdale in February 1931. Merrythought moved permanently to its present site in Iron Bridge. Business grew rapidly, with the Iron Bridge site becoming the largest soft toy factory in Britain in 1935, and by 1939 over 200 people worked for Merrythought. The company's site was rented at first, but was purchased from the Coalbrookdale Company in 1956. Merrythought had operated the same site, situated between the wharfage and the River Severn, since 1931, with the exception of during World War II, when the site was requisitioned by the Admiralty for map breaking from the outbreak of the war in September 1939. After the war, new buildings were built on the site, with an automatic stuffing machine was bought from the United States in 1955. In 1957, the Cheeky Bear was first introduced to Merrythought range, a design which continues to be produced to the present day. In 1996, the Farnell brand name was bought by Merrythought. In 1921, a Hope Bear was produced, raising money for the World Trade Center Disaster Fund. The company still uses traditional methods and materials, such as mohair for its bears, to produce a limited range of handcrafted toys, appealing to the high end of the market. Wellings is considered by many to be the finest English designer of soft toys. She began her career with the Chad Valley Company in 1919. Born on the 17th of January 1893, her father Thomas was a plasterer, her mother was named Sarah, and Nora had a brother called Leonard. Nora had a good education and excelled in botany and art. Nevertheless, she finished her formal education at the age of 14, leaving school to care for her invalid father, but embarked on a correspondence course with the London School of Art, studying drawing, painting and sculpture. After her father died, Nora rose through the ranks at the Wrekin Toy Works to become a chief designer of the company's cloth doll range. Some mystery surrounds Nora's reasons for leaving, although she apparently confided to relatives that the final straw presented itself in the shape of a gift-wrapped dead rat left on her desk when she arrived for work one morning. Alternatively, the managing director wanted to take on an apprentice. She refused and terminated her employment, reportedly tearing up her designs so that her successor could not use them. In partnership with Leonard, Nora formed the Victoria Toy Works in 1926. She initially rented an office at the family plastering business in Victoria Avenue, where she began to manufacture dolls with just 6 members of staff. The venture proved so successful that the company was soon able to acquire new premises at the former King Street Baptist Chapel in 1929, eventually employing around 250 staff and established an enviable reputation on Nora's motto of quality before quantity. Welling's dolls are often made of cloth, felt, velvet and velveteen, and represent children and adults as well as storybook characters. The manufacturing process itself involved moulding buckram over a large layer of plastic wood overlaid with steamed felt. The faces were then hand painted on with a waterproof coating to make them washable. The first bear Nora Wellings made had the name Bruno, and the following year his name was changed to Bear, as were the following models that Nora Wellings made. Most were made of wool plush, but unfortunately does not seem to age well. Her success did not go unnoticed by a former employer, and in 1931 Chad Valley made a formal offer to buy Nora's thriving business. Needless to say, she refused the invitation. Although the Victoria Toy Works produced a wide range of cloth dolls, the most recognisable product in the Wellings line was undoubtedly the Jolly Boy Sailor, which the company produced for shipping companies such as Cunard and their ocean-going liners. I did have a Sailor Boy doll, but I don't think it was a Wellings. Each doll featured the name of an individual ship on it and was destined to sail on its hatband, and a model also produced with the popular Royal Navy. During the 1930s, they commissioned at least $100,000 annually for Navy Week, when the British fleet was in port at Plymouth, Chatham and Portsmouth. Given the importance of the export trade to the company, the outbreak of the Second World War dealt a severe blow to the fortunes of Nora Welling's business, from which it never truly recovered. Production was scaled down drastically, and during the conflict, and much of the King Street works was given over to the production of essential supplies, such as uniforms and gas masks. Although toy making resumed in earnest after the conflict, an influx of cheap foreign imports and the introduction of new materials, such as plastic, all contributed to make trading conditions much tougher. However, Nora's decision to retire in 1959 seems to have been heavily influenced by the death of her brother, business partner and mentor Leonard. It appears Nora viewed her creations and the immaculately maintained toy works as a personal extension of herself, and seemingly unable to sell her business as a going concern, she chose to close the plant, destroying many of the designs and tools which had crafted her dolls in the process. It was reported that there was a large fire in the gardens where Nora was burning the tools and designs for her dolls, as well as unfinished dolls. She retired to her family home at Alston, where she died in 1975 at the age of 82. Strict concentration in an industrial district spawned a variety of suppliers, subcontractors and small competitors. Worthy of mention are Golden Bear Products Limited, a British toy manufacturing company that was founded in 1979 by John Hales and Christine Nichols. Golden the Bear operates from its headquarters in Telford and opened an office in Hong Kong in 2001. The company has sold a broad range of licensed and branded products, including Thomas and Friends, My First JCB, Charlie and Lola, Pingu, Noddy, Peppa Pig, Brum, Bud the Builder, Cars, Dora the Explorer, Hannah's Helpline, Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom, Sooty and Teletubbies. They also produced new properties like Bush Baby World.